Chapter 8 Ashes of the Unborn.
Có hai tia, có bói tu bó nè.
Ntshiab looked at Pheej Hmoo carefully.
Tu bó nè tờ trong lý chả, thế nếu đã chỉ đâu có.
Nếu trong có hẹn, thế nếu cô chủ đã chỉ đâu cô bỏ kia nơi kia là gian chỉ lợi.
He paused. The bells hanging from her waist swayed gently.
Tất cả cô bỏ nơi chỗ lấy đá sư hò. Cô lúc không có thi bế chỉ lịch thi. Tại sao nó cô bỏ tao chua dàn tờ sang giúp lì. Ôi rồi cô chánh tại lý thế.
Pheej Hmoo.
His spirit guide bursted out laughing, and her voice echoed throughout the room.
Đùa. Sao cô bây giờ tranh tao lỡ. Nếu nữ sẽ nữ bỏ thế nó của tê họ chế lệ à.
Bỏ có là mà. Nó có là
Ntshiab shook her head, giggling.
Rồi nó của lời kê của giống một khe tìa trên đây toàn đây nó ư dọ bí tao thì tìa lận. Ôi, cho cô ya excited ôi luôn.
Okay.
The spirit guide then disappeared.
Đã chuyện gì thế à?
Họ cũng cho tôi minh cha. Cho nữ hữu cụ trở cơn gầu lì. Nữ hữu cụ ua. Tu hóa tài Pheej Hmoo.
Ntshiab said nothing. Her expression slowly darkened, then, barely louder than a whispered, one name escaped her lips.
Gâu nà.
Câu nà. Có bao nữa lo.
Ntshiab slowly nodded.
Nữ cú yo, tu bó nè và có tờ lưu chắp lờ. Ý bộ chế hiong thâu lo.
The words felt impossible. Pheej Hmoo searched his own heart, and he felt nothing. There was no warmth, no longing, only fear, unlike Ntshiab, who makes him feel comfortable.
Yo tia cú bao nữ. Thế có cú bao nữ. Vậy chạy tao tia. Có cú bao cú tia ta lo thế. Bố yo.
Ntshiab remained silent. Her fingers unconsciously tightened around the 3 gold bells hanging from her waist. Pheej Hmoo stepped closer. His eyes never left hers.
Ntshiab, cú tứ sẵn nông con tế lợ. Nếu trong lấy môn đô giả có trình ràng được cú. Mô đã chỉ xì. Được có. Cú thế nữ.
He stepped even closer, close enough to see the sadness hidden behind her smile.
Cú chỉ bao do vì lý cha. Ta chỉ cho dấu cũng đã có nhỏ. Cú lưu xe nhỏ to. Giả ca xe. Ta có nhỏ đã cú ý xa.
Ntshiab slowly looked away, unable to meet his eyes. Pheej Hmoo gently reached forward. His fingers softly cupped her cheek, turning her face toward him. Their eyes met. Pheej Hmoo smiled faintly.
Họ cú luôn ninh nào. Cú chỉ tôn chỉ ý tù nê. Ở thơ cho cú ý giả lý co. Nếu ở đâu, cú lưu xe sọ.
Ntshiab's eyes trembled. Slowly, she raised her hand. Her fingertips gently brushed against his cheek, just before she could fully caress his face. Pheej Hmoo flinched. He let out a quiet groan.
Lý đua lợ. Hello?
Pheej Hmoo, có chuyện giao lại lo, nụ đã chi.
Nụ nói yo đã chi na.
It's your birthday. Thâu, để cho lại thứ tỏ có.
Oh, yeah. Cú thọ gì ọ. I'm coming right now.
He ended the call, turning back toward Ntshiab.
Cú yo chỉ má mù lợ. Ý chỉ, mà xin chỉ đua.
She forced a small smile. He gave her one last glance before disappearing through the door. Ntshiab stood motionless as her thoughts spiraled.
Yo Pheej Hmoo lúc không mơ thi bế. Khi tỏ ca nên chính gâu nà. Vậy chạy tao tìa. Gâu nà yo tùa tao thái nữ cho kế.
The curse, the one no shaman master could explain, the one no one dared to intervene with. But another question chilled her even more.
Tỏ ca của tôi là yo mơ đã chỉ xì tìa.
Only Pheej Hmoo would know the truth. For the first time in 100,000 years, even the Grim Reaper feared the answer. A year slipped by like the passing of the seasons. Spring gave way to summer. Summer yielded to autumn. And before anyone realized it, the palace had found its rhythm once more. With a Queen Gona at his side, Pheej Hmoo ruled over a kingdom that grew even more prosperous with each passing day. The people admired the gentle queen, whose kindness reached from the palace gates to the poorest villages. Together, the young king and queen became a symbol of hope throughout the land. Yet, beneath the peaceful surface, Pheej Hmoo buried himself in work. From sunrise until dusk, he sat through endless council meetings, reviewed reports, inspected the kingdom's defenses, and rode from village to village answering the people's needs. And every night, he returned to Nkauj Nag. He kept the promise he had made on the morning after the wedding. Little by little, he learned to become the husband he believed she deserved. He treated her with kindness, respect, and responsibility, but never with the same fire that once belonged to another. As for Ntshiab, she devoted herself entirely to the path of a shaman. Day after day, she wandered from one village to the next, performing rituals, breaking curses, cleansing haunted homes, and guiding restless souls back to the spirit realm. The more lives she saved, the less time she had to listen to the ache inside her own heart. And so, for a year, Pheej Hmoo and Ntshiab never saw each other. One night, Pheej Hmoo was summoned to help perform a shaman ceremony. By the time the situation was resolved, the moon already hung high up in the sky. The road back to the palace was quiet. Pheej Hmoo froze. His heart immediately tightened. The bells, it's Ntshiab's bells. But something was wrong. The sound was frantic and chaotic. His spirit guide then suddenly appeared beside him.
Yo, chào Ntshiab.
Trời của cá.
Without hesitation, Pheej Hmoo ran. The bells continued ringing faster and louder until finally he arrived at a cemetery. The dark mist covered the ground and black spiritual energy drifted between the graves. And in the middle of all of it was Ntshiab unconscious on the ground.
Ntshiab.
He sprinted toward her, immediately lifting her into his arms. As relief flooded through him, she was still breathing. Pheej Hmoo then carried her to a nearby abandoned hut. A fire crackled softly in the corner as Pheej Hmoo threw woods into the fire pit to keep her warm. Several hours later, Ntshiab's eyes slowly opened. The first thing she saw was his back, sitting beside the fire, quietly watching over her. For a long moment, she simply stared. Tears slowly gathered in her eyes as the feelings she had tried so hard to bury all returned at once, as though no time had passed at all. Then, Pheej Hmoo turned around. His face immediately brightened.
Ntshiab, có sợ lo.
He quickly ran to her side, pressing a hand against her forehead, checking for fever and injuries.
Yo, chào có.
Ntshiab quickly looked away, hiding her emotions, then smiled.
Cô chiếu lý chào, tao anh tụi nó, cô có răng là xưa ôi chào, có họ nhóm tụi nó. Thế á, họ nói nhắc họ tử.
Giờ có chỉ số xử lý, cô bỏ có trộm một tỏ tông ra, để cô cho có lọ son tụi nó xứ.
Ồ, ló, chê có trao à.
Silence settled between them, neither knowing what to say, neither daring to say what they truly wanted.
Có nhớ lại chào là xứ, Ntshiab.
Ntshiab immediately raised two thumbs up.
Rong hãy lý.
The exaggerated smile almost made him laugh, but he knew her too well. Whenever she smiled like that, it meant she was hurting. Together, they walked back toward the palace, and it felt like old times again. Right when they entered the gateway, Ntshiab suddenly stumbled, and the world spun around her. Before she could fall, Pheej Hmoo's arms caught her. His concern immediately returned, and from the palace balcony, Nkauj Nag witnessed everything. Her smile slowly disappeared. Later that night, inside the royal chamber, Nkauj Nag sat quietly, waiting. When Pheej Hmoo finally entered, she asked softly, No, có mua đã chi lo? Pheej Hmoo answered honestly,
Ồ, nó chú cho thọ cái ba, em cũng muốn ba lỡ ôi thanh ninh sư.
Dạ, có thể lấy đa cụ.
Đã có đã chi na.
Cụ tứ bỏ có thiên chế lêu cái này.
Ồ, khó có. Thì giờ ít đồ kế là ok sư.
Yêu vì lý do có thể lấy đa cụ tự bỏ có khởi trơn chế lên nè.
Có chính chính cú lo.
Có luôn giao hãy à, để sĩ có tụi dàn dữ ôi à.
Câu na, cú tư hai đó có lại nè. Để cú yếu mua có ý lệnh xin nè. Có chính chính cú lo.
Yo. He walked off and suddenly Gona's weight entered the room, tilted around her. Before Pheej Hmoo could react, she collapsed.
Na!
Immediately, he called for the royal physician. Hours later, the physician emerged and a smile stretched across his face.
Cú thon trao nè song xia. Nè hóa tài kẻ sinh cứu lời.
Pheej Hmoo looked toward Gona, and for the first time, he slowly walked toward her. He then placed a gentle hand upon her stomach. A child, his child, the future heir of the kingdom.
Gì? Tụi mi ao.
Gona's eyes were filled with happy tears, and she smiled brightly. A few days later, Gona summoned Chile to the palace courtyard. When Chile arrived, the moment she entered, she immediately sensed something was wrong. Gona sat quietly beside the stone table. There were no servants or guards around, just the two of them. Chile. Then she stood up and reaches for Chile's hands. Có lo, cô dây thu bò nè giả lý cụ thia. Cô bảo tìa, cô dây nhỏ chủng gà xế cô thọ có cho Pheej Hmoo bò tàu mà.
Nè hóa tài, cú chính khá sẽ có hại. Đời cú tiếp Pheej Hmoo, chỉ mất được chi lợ.
The words hurt to even say it, but she forced them out anyway. The kiss she saw during the engagement announcement, the way Pheej Hmoo looked at her with worried eyes, the way he held her, insecurities and fury erupted within her. Before Chile could respond, the sound echoed throughout the courtyard. A red mark immediately appeared on her cheek. For a moment, even Gona seemed shocked by what she had just done.
Na!
Both women turned around.
Na! Go ra chi!
He had witnessed everything. With the hesitation, he rushed forward immediately, turning to Julia. His eyes were filled with concern.
Có bố lực à?
Instinctively, he reached toward her face. Julia quickly stepped down, then dropped to her knees.
Cú chiêu lý chà. Nè hóa tài chỉ tao ở đây chỉ cho cú.
But the damage was already done because Gona had seen it. The panic in his eyes, the concern, the protectiveness, all of it, and none of it had been for her. Pheej Hmoo quickly grabbed Na's wrist and dragged her away to the chambers. That evening, Pheej Hmoo quietly brought medicine to Julia's quarters. The red mark still lingered on her cheek. He opened the jar and gently applied the medicine.
Julia, cú thọ gì?
Chiêu chà Pheej Hmoo, cú chỉ đâu nè hóa tài Gona.
The answer only made him feel worse because deep down he understood exactly why Gona had acted that way. Beyond the door, Gona was watching. Her eyes slowly darkened as she watched her husband gently tend to another woman. This time, she said nothing. Several weeks later, the royal family departed for their annual hunting trip. Deep within the forest, they built tents around the rushing river. Everyone seemed happy again. The men fished and the women gathered water, and laughter echoed through the trees. Even Pheej Hmoo found himself smiling again. From the river bank, he watched as the servants, Julia, and Gona splashed water at each other like children. Then the woman decided to cross a small wooden bridge spanning the river. Suddenly, one of the support beams snapped and the bridge collapsed. Everyone plunged into the rushing water as screams erupted. The current immediately dragged people downstream. Pheej Hmoo didn't think, he reacted. His eyes found Julia, the only person he knew that couldn't swim. Without hesitation, he jumped toward her, and some of the soldiers dived in to save Nkauj Nag. Reaching for Ntshiab Liag, he pulled her toward safety onto the shore. Only then did realization strike. His heart dropped. Nkauj Nag wasn't there. Pheej Hmoo immediately turned around, searching desperately.
Na! Na!
One of the servants cried out. Without hesitation, Pheej Hmoo jumped back into the water. Again and again, the current fought against him until finally a pool of dark blood surfaced beneath the water. He swam downward and found Nkauj Nag's leg had become trapped beneath the broken timber. Blood drifted through the water as Pheej Hmoo frantically freed her. Hours later, the royal physician emerged from the tent. His expression alone told them something was wrong. The physician lowered his head.
Cứ do lấy từ xia, nè hóa tại tụi mình nhờ bóng là.
The world stopped. Pheej Hmoo froze. Nkauj Nag stared blankly into the distance, and across the camp, Ntshiab Liag felt her heart sink because deep down she knew nothing would ever be the same after this. That night, the palace was silent. Pheej Hmoo slowly entered Nkauj Nag's chamber. The room was dark except for a single candle burning near the window. Nkauj Nag sat on the floor beside the bed, motionless. Her eyes were empty. Pheej Hmoo approached carefully and placed his hand on her shoulders.
Na!
She immediately shrugged him off. Cô sẽ nhói lên. Pheej Hmoo sighed heavily, but he nodded.
Tao tớ có trong shit là. Cô mà lý trả lo.
He turned and quietly walked out of the room. As the door closed behind him, the silence returned. Slowly, Nkauj Nag's trembling hands moved to her stomach as tears streamed down her face. Nè tụi mẹ này, con nè thật xíu. Chả có gì, sẽ hiểu luôn. Chỉ chả có thế, con nè ổn đây. Em có thể lý. Chỉ muốn cho xuyên ra cùng nhau. Her voice cracked. Then another name escaped her lips. Ntshiab Liag. Thôi à nó hiếu tí có sư. Yon trong tìa. Cô tứ thọ có lời nợ. Ôi tôi nên rong chỉ tao. Chỉ chi nụ nó mù. Cô yếu chỉ thọ ô lời. Strange darkness seemed to fill her gaze. The warmth that once lived in her eyes slowly disappeared, replaced by resentment, bitterness, and vengeance. Nkauj Nag slowly lifted her head. Her expression no longer looked like the woman she once was. Ntshiab Liag, có yên yếu bao. And for the first time, darkness truly entered Nkauj Nag's heart. Chapter 9. The Curse. Mong ơi, tôi chỉ chế trong nhà từng giây đã khỏa, ya bấy chỉ mua, bấy yêu nhớ chỉ tranh ý chúa. Nè chế trong ta đầy ia chờ, tôi yêu tôi chỉ lưu minh mở, để lưu nên thiên nhớ khó nâng mở. The palace had never truly recovered from the tragedy at the river. News of the unborn prince's death spread throughout the kingdom. Soon after, Nkauj Nag's mother arrived at the palace. She quietly entered her daughter's chamber. Her heart ached. The once cheerful queen now sat motionless beside the window. Her eyes stared into nothing, almost as though the world no longer existed. Her mother slowly knelt beside her.
Mình thấy na, niên đó có tu sẽ hành liao. Cô nói hai tia, ya tin chết liao. Vì mua nữ ping nhon the Pheej Hmoo isha, ni thế chính do hai tia, ni tu mua bao nè, khó. She thought sai. Tu ninh tao xuyên đời, nhưng ô chỉ tao lấy cả cho cô. Có tự ya bé lưu tế chờ tu nè hóa tại, giờ Pheej Hmoo chỉ bỏ, chỉ khu xì lo, có gió ninh, nhưng yon rộng, thía bảo hai tia nè hóa tại ngô na, yon linh tư.
She gently stroked Nkauj Nag's hair. There were no response or even a blink, only silence. Her mother searched for her daughter's eyes, but all she found was emptiness. With disappointment and growing anger, she quietly stood up and left the room. Ever since losing her child, it was as though the light inside Nkauj Nag's heart had slowly faded away, and where light disappeared, darkness quietly took its place. As the wind howled outside, the clouds were swallowed by the afternoon sun. Then people screamed and chaos erupted throughout the palace.
Gì khó tài, mua tế mình lo hình lời.
Pheej Hmoo immediately stood up.
Mua đã chỉ shi.
Ta suy nó, cho rễ cho hay tiền là bọn chết lia, tuần ninh trốn hưu.
He froze. That's impossible. There was no way.
Bố giờ nếp bỏ vô kế sư. Cho cô mu.
Pheej Hmoo and dozens of the royal guards rushed into the palace courtyard. Then he stopped. His heart nearly stopped beating. There were bodies everywhere. Servants, palace maids, guards, nearly 50 people lay motionless across the courtyard. The stone ground had become stained with pool of blood, and standing in the center was Ntshiab Liag. Blood covered both of her hands. Her breathing was uneven as her entire body trembled. Her eyes had turned completely black. She kept shaking her head as though struggling against something unseen. It's possession. With a hesitation, he grabbed a bowl of clean water, quickly chanting something beneath his breath, then blew the blessing into the water, raised the bowl into his mouth. Then he sprayed it across Jillian's face. Her body suddenly jerked. Her black eyes slowly returned to normal. She looked around, then looked down at her own hands. There was blood everywhere. Her entire body froze as tears instantly welled inside her eyes.
Pheej Hmoo, cô chỉ bảo tia mua đã chỉ chữ sĩ đâu cô.
Before Pheej Hmoo could answer, voices exploded around them.
Kia limon in đây kia, tu po ram the tuần ninh.
Nì yo to bé chua tua.
Fear spreads faster than fire. Ntshiab Liag slowly shook her head, unable to defend herself. Pheej Hmoo closed his eyes, then nodded. The soldiers quickly surrounded Ntshiab Liag. Without resistance, she allowed herself to be taken away. Once the courtyard empty, Pheej Hmoo asked his spirit guide.
Yo ôi chạy tiền lợi.
The spirit guide frowned.
Dòng li mua ninh cho đã tọa chế liang. Đó là dòng li tụ tròn tờ mua hư hoa cơ. Cũng dễ chỉ bỏ để do linh tư kia cũng mà đọc á chân gì.
Pheej Hmoo clenched his fist. If he can't find the source, more people would die. He immediately rushed into his private shrine, lit up 3 incense sticks, and grabbed his red ceremonial cloth and covered his eyes. Then the Hmong ritual drum echoed throughout the room. Pheej Hmoo slowly entered a trance. His body remained seated, but his spirit astral projected and rose into the sky. The wooden ritual bench transformed beneath him into a magnificent white horse. His spirit guide leaped beside him, flying mid-air.
Trời cụ cá.
Together, they galloped through the sky into the spirit realm, searching, listening, and following every strand of corrupted energy. Then, Pheej Hmoo saw it. The dark smoke. It was not outside the palace, but inside. His heart sank. That means someone within the royal palace had cast forbidden black magic. The white horse descended into the palace ground, room after room, hall after hall. The dark aura grew stronger until finally his spirit guide stopped beneath an ancient tree inside a secluded courtyard.
Của nó tao tiền nơi nhóm tờ nó.
Pheej Hmoo knelt. The earth beneath the roots pulsed with hatred. He gathered every ounce of his spiritual energy, raised his ritual dagger, and drove it into the ground. A violent force exploded upward. Pheej Hmoo was thrown backward. His spirit guide immediately caught him.
Chỉ tao, họ nó mua cho thầu lợ. Họ rong cha mà, cho cá mua sầu gia chính, mà cho cá thịa chữ gì. Cú yên bao hải tìa mua ý nhạc hồng là mua rượu cho họ à. Do chia tàu, mà cho cá mua thị, cho cá mua cho tu chữ cho đá nợ.
He nodded. As everything faded, Pheej Hmoo's eyes suddenly flew open. His chest rose sharply. Outside, people were screaming and crying. One palace guard bursted into the shrine.
Gì khó tài, bến đó có tụ xe, hóa tay cho tua lời.
Pheej Hmoo's heart dropped. He sprinted toward the royal chambers. There, his father lay lifeless on the ground. Pheej Hmoo dropped beside his father, scooping him into his arms.
Chị, giờ hỗ trợ đó con lời.
Chế là ya tụt tuột gì hóa tay.
Ta xin nó, chỉ là nhỏ có từ, cho cô mù.
In the execution arena, the palace bells rang wildly. Villagers flooded into the arena carrying torches. And in the middle of the execution square, Jayla sat there. She shook her head as she regained her consciousness.
Muốn tua.
The crowd surged like a wave.
Cho tao bỏ ra.
One of the villagers cried out and then threw a shoe at her.
Tua mù.
Jayla looked up and shook her head.
Cô thọ gì? Cô yên chỉ bảo tia yêu lý cho đó cô lỡ.
This time, someone threw a rock and hit her forehead. Then, someone else threw a knife before her feet.
Yêu tia cứ mua bệnh sự thì thái bay cho tôi có hại, bố có tụ khen. Chỉ lý nắng chê, bây giờ tôi đang cho có sát đầy đàn để có sự.
Julia slowly looked up, her face soaked with tears. She then lowered her gaze. Slowly, she picked up the knife and whispered something under her breath.
Pheej Hmoo, cô thọ gì? Cô chính chỉ tao cô tôi khen. Giờ cô bỏ mù, cho tôi thấy lý yêu chỉ mà cái cũng sợ.
Before anyone could react, she plunged the blade into her stomach.
Julia!
He quickly pulled her into his arms.
Julia! Khi có lúc họ mua. Giờ vì lý gia tia.
Pheej Hmoo, cô thọ gì?
Fury erupted within Pheej Hmoo.
Nếu cháu nên nó chính cho hai tia, cú yo lên tương là lo. Nên tôi yo tôi yo chế gì nó.
Pointing to the crowd.
Có lo, có bùi yo. Ở trên này theo mua bệnh sử, chế gì trông Julia. Chỉ tao cú lo hai trong bầu nó. Yo tôi cho. Mua cho nên我杀了这些人，你错度。
The guards grouped up the men and women who held torches and those who continued to throw objects toward Julia. Julia slowly smiled.
Pheej Hmoo, tia nâng nó. Có tới cho lửa tia, vô đi thái cô. Lo, có qua chỉ tao. Lo cha, cô lúc xưa, vì chỉ ra tôi xưa đó có lý. Để sống chế, do cô đùa xứ. Cô bảo, luôn rào có trì, nhà hàng. Cả chú ấy tôi hóa tay rong, lý có cho kiến chờ. Cô ra gì đó có. Để xì, cô yếu chỉ thon chỉ có. Nó lửa tia lửa mò.
With trembling fingers, she slowly reached up toward his face, but just before touching him, her hand fell. Life quietly left her eyes. The king screamed until his voice disappeared into the heavens. Even the heavens answered. Thunder split the sky as rain poured without mercy.
Julia!
Lee's voice echoed through the storm. He rushed forward, grabbed Pheej Hmoo by the collar, and punched him across the face.
Mình thành Julia!
Sifu Maija was swiftly. She quickly ran to grab Julia and pulled her into her arms.
Bỏ tụi mình thành rồi. Bây giờ, con trai, trả rong lý nó, cụ thể lý, chỉ sợ có tao cho kỹ, ôi tụi nè nấy rong lý nó rồi mà.
Cú thọ gì à bà?
Pheej Hmoo, 我家个听我道理那种吃了，之前要个见你鸟，你弄这个去做事，我不把我的吃了直接没了呀，吃了我错呀错家这个，
Có tài lý gia. Julia, tôi lúc có sư nè.
个地没得了要个早走我都去报身啊，呀，我已弄吃了，vì cô luôn cha cô tên là cho nên một giờ lên cho kiến chơi, nữ sai có, cô tôi luôn nương bảo lên nó, cho sẽ để có giờ luôn nương bảo lên cô. Từ khi giờ lên chỉ muốn ông đi cho có, bây giờ, tay cô.
Pheej Hmoo's world shattered. He looked down at the woman in his arms and continued sobbing. Suddenly, his spirit guide appeared.
Pheej Hmoo chỉ cho nó cả một khó không đáng nữa chúa chạy. Chỉ lẽ tôi nhà thâu khó không đã chỉ rõ. Nhớ có chỉ một chạy cái này tuân trước khi hoa dạ yếu trao chỉ rõ một thời thiết chỉ tàu.
Pheej Hmoo slowly closed his eyes. A gentle breeze drifted across the execution yard. For just a fleeting moment, he thought he heard the familiar bills upon Chilla's waist. Finally, he stood up and motioned for one of the soldiers to grab Chilla's body to shelter it. Without another word, he gathered his ritual dagger, incense, and shaman tools before walking toward the secluded courtyard, toward the ancient tree, the place where darkness had first taken root. As he approached, he suddenly froze. Someone was already there. A woman knelt beneath the tree, digging frantically into the earth. She slowly turned around, and Pheej Hmoo's heart stopped. Gona. Her hands trembled. Clutched tightly within them was a straw doll, wrapped tightly with strands of long black hair, and a cursed talisman. Pinned to its chest, the words were in Chilla's name. Both of them froze and neither spoke.
Na, có ta tỏ ô ra chi? Giờ có lọ, có giờ tụ ua, có công tỏ chế lệ lọ.
Gona instinctively hit the doll behind her and nervously spoke. Chiyaku. Pheej Hmoo slowly walked closer. His voice trembled, and he quickly reached behind her and grabbed the cursed doll.
Con tỏ nó giờ đã chi nó, chỉ giờ có chê, giờ lên từ.
Gona narrowed her eyes. Chiyaku na, Pheej Hmoo.
Chỉ giờ có, ở chạy từ trong mà, họ nhon đã có sát tệ. Na, cũng chân sĩ tao tìa, có lưu xe yếu lý hiệt tam bộ có ý từ chỉ giờ tụi nên dòng lên nó xả.
Gona suddenly laughed, a broken laugh, half crying, half furious. Cô, yo, vì cô thế lấy lỏng với tôi này trong này nó, cô bộ báo hay tiệt, cô lúc có bảo lý trả, cô bộ báo hay tiệt, cô lúc có mua bóng bảo lý trả cho cô, thế á, cô bộ báo hay tiệt, cô nên mò tỏ cô cho cái luật sư. Every word struck Pheej Hmoo like a blade, but he remained silent. His silence only hurt her more. She slowly looked toward the moon. Pheej Hmoo whispered,
Tụi nên cứ lút cha, nên tứ tô mù lợi.
Pheej Hmoo slowly closed his eyes. When he opened them again, the king in him had returned. He raised his hand.
Cho tụi cho, muốn này hóa tài ngon nàn đề, muốn nói cho muốn cho cha cho gì.
The soldiers rushed into the courtyard immediately. Then they hesitated. No one dared to touch their queen.
Thế tớ cú ló, giờ lên từ chịu ọt tớ cú hài, lúc chỉ tua, giờ trời nữa thea.
The queen Gona walked herself toward the prison as the soldiers followed behind her. Before sunrise, a towering stake stood in the center of the courtyard. Bundles of dry wood surrounded it. The queen Gona stood bound to the post. Her long black hair danced gently in the wind. The entire kingdom gathered. No one dared to speak. Pheej Hmoo slowly stepped forward. His voice echoed across the silent courtyard.
Na, có vô khả công tôn chế lìa, ở đó cụ chỉ hóa tài tua, ở đó bê sành chống tù tua, cho kế cho nhẹ. Có yên trình cho, có lưu minh mỏ nè hóa tài. Có giờ từ tua nên, có tôi lỡ sợ đời, chỉ dọn chế lại ý lành sư.
Silence. Then Gona smiled, a heartbreaking smile. Pheej Hmoo, ôi chàng, có lúc sẽ yếu rất phải ổ lo. Có thứ hơi cho cụ tìa. Có yếu lúc cụ lên một sư. Ê lo cho nó có hôn dành xíu cho cụ, khi một lúc lo, tê tê lợi. Rồi nó có lúc sẽ tự nhớ là xí tê lợi dễ, có chuyện do hai tìa, cho tôi nên đùa lý cụ. Họ có bỏ cụ đỡ, có xa hai tìa. Cụ lúc sẽ trong lý chả. Cụ tua lợi lo, lợi ya có tua.
Na, cụ yên ít lúc có chỉ bảo cụ cho cái lưu sư, lúc có giả ly, cụ ít tụ một dòng sư. Ở chả có chuyện hai tia cụ do tụ tua lỡ vì cụ chỉ lúc có lọ. Con chuyện do hai tiền trả chú lên từ tê là lọ.
Vì có lúc sẽ đủ. Có lúc sẽ đủ, sẽ nhộng đa cụ. Tụ ua con chơi tiết to mù rửa à lờ na. Mó con bảo lý cha, hay à mó cụ lúc sẽ dịp lờ. She slowly lifted her head. Her eyes no longer held sorrow, only hatred. Every word echoed unnaturally across heaven and earth. Say no no, mujole taki. Chỉ hay chơi tiền lo, cú yo lo lo công cơ. Ý plua rong no, có yo chỉ tông trong lo sa. Ý plua rong hậu, lo yo chỉ đủ có cáp la. Đủ có bỏ, con trời, yo chỉ yo có gì con gỡ. Đủ ua, có lú, yo chỉ cho cái cơ linh trở liền. Tiền no, có mua chữ nên có xong lời. Xong no, yo xong có sợ cái khẩu, cái tua, cú. Yo chỉ chạy tôi nên sẽ lưu lý cổ. Yo hỏi tía, một trong hồng. Đủ bố con gì nên có ý xong. Mê nhỏ, yo chỉ bố con va có chạy. Bà cho khó, ủa có chỉ chờ ư tôi mê nhỏ. Thấy không? Có, sai có lúc sẽ đủ. Chỉ sự sai, nơi cho xe. Có và hay tía, loa, cha cô ấy tu chỉ nên. Có yo chờ tao, cho lên cho tụ bố yo. Thế xì, cô hay cho có bao. Cô, yo có cho cái khẩu kiếm bạc. Xin hữu nọ, muốn lời tóm đây. Lúc về, chỉ nên, có yo chỉ tao trì. Lúc mấy mọ chờ sinh, có yo chỉ tao cho lo cho. Thấy không? Rồi nó cô sai có cho xe. Cô yên nhỏ yo của tu, một ta chua tìa. The sky rumbled. Thunder exploded overhead. The wind roared through the palace. Even the torches flickered violently. Pheej Hmoo stood frozen. For the first time, he realized this was no ordinary curse. It was a curse born from love. The executioner looked toward the king. Pheej Hmoo slowly closed his eyes as a single tear rolled down his cheek. Then he whispered,
Mua tờ sợ.
The torch touched the wood and the flames slowly climbed upward. Gona never screamed, never begged, or looked away. She kept her eyes locked on Pheej Hmoo until the very end, as though she wanted him to remember her face for every lifetime to come. Chapter 10. The Veil Shall Fall. Pheej Hmoo walked through the front yard of his house. The neighborhood was unusually quiet. The only light coming from his house is from the moon hanging high above Los Angeles. Then, tiny lights began flickering around his house. One, then another, then dozens more. Pheej Hmoo slowed down his footsteps. The floating lights gently drifted through the darkness like fireflies. He looked closer and realized it's lanterns. Dozens of warm lanterns had been carefully hung across the patio, each one glowing softly beneath the night sky. The entire yard shimmered with golden light. Before he could speak, Julia appeared beneath one of the lanterns, smiling proudly.
Câu ra chi?
Chúng xia cái lúc nữa yo Pheej Hmoo.
Wow, ôi cha, rong gò lo.
Julia scratched her cheek shyly.
Thật gì cũng mới chỉ tới giờ không đi đâu có, chủ yếu họ không em mê nó sư.
Pheej Hmoo smiled warmly.
Julia, họ nói tí rong gò chat thôi ya lại. Cú nhẹ hẹn. Ô có châu.
She then reached into her pocket and handed him 2 sparklers. Golden sparks danced through the night as laughter echoed across the yard. For a little while, it's just the two of them playing with the sparkles as if there's nothing to worry about. Eventually, the sparklers burned out, so they lay quietly on the grass, watching thousands of stars glitter overhead. After a long silence, Pheej Hmoo whispered.
Tụi mình nông sao?
Ntshiab Liag turned toward him.
Câu hỏi đó chị.
Pheej Hmoo pointed toward the sky.
Cho nó buồn đời. Dòng lên tụi nông sao?
Oh.
Pheej Hmoo turned to look at her.
Dòng câu. Thế mô hư chỉ. Ý à lấy co.
She froze. Pheej Hmoo slowly reached over. His fingers brushed a loose strand of hair and tucked it behind. Then he gently kissed her forehead. Ntshiab Liag's face immediately flushed red. She quickly pulled away, trying to hide her embarrassment. Pheej Hmoo chuckled. Ntshiab Liag then stood up and brushed the wrinkles from her dress.
Có một bịch chơi xong lỡ.
Nên của ý xong.
Bà kia mà xin chỉ đùa. Trong xe có lúc nữ yêu à, Pheej Hmoo.
She smiled. The bells at her waist jingled softly as she disappeared. The next morning, birthday gifts covered Pheej Hmoo's living room. One by one, he opened presents from co-workers and friends until one package caught his attention. It was wrapped neatly in plain brown paper. The sender was Lee. Pheej Hmoo laughed.
Chó tỏ lì nó. Chả khứ khổng dông lý ít tụi bọn nè sư.
Inside rested an old leather-bound journal. Its cover was cracked with age. A tiny brass lock kept it shut. As he searched through the wrapping paper, a small key fell onto the floor. The journal slowly opened. The first page read.
Nhớ rong Pheej Hmoo. Nu nói nhỏ nu, xa lên tu và tin nên gọi o. Xong, ít xíu chút bùa nên gọi đâu. Giờ có tá tỏ nhẹm phong đồ nó. Chứ sao chênh. Cú hiểu có. Tìa ta lo. Cú chỉ bó tìa. Cú hiểu chua bê chân nu ở nơi nhóm dị mù. Cho kế tùa tư yếu chọc tao cú. Đã xì, cú và tìa phong đồ nó. Hiểu chua có, ổn tế tụi bó nền đỡ. Trong chế tao có đùa. Đó xì. Ở đây có môn này có ý xong. Cú xa, có tiền tỏ lên nó. Có môn bình sự. Lần cho tao có cho kiếm bà, cái khẩu. Có tao ở trong có nà vì hai tia.
The page abruptly ended. Everything below had been burned away. Pheej Hmoo quickly flipped through the remaining pages, but it was blank. Every single one. He immediately grabbed his phone and texted Lee.
Are you available to talk?
I guess you opened your birthday gift?
Yes.
Come over tonight, 9 p.m.
Okay. Text me your address.
Ever since knowing Lee, it's Pheej Hmoo's first time visiting his home.
Toa, Pheej Hmoo, lo che.
The moment Pheej Hmoo stepped inside, the scent of burning incense filled the air. Lee led him down a long hallway until they reached the living room. In the center was a large shaman altar. Pheej Hmoo slowly turned toward Lee. He scratched the back of his head, then laughed awkwardly.
Yo, cú ya chỉ nên.
Cú tứ bấu lợ. Mua ý dạ chân đỡ. Ở chỉ dòng lý lợ tu nên.
The two laughed before taking their seats. Pheej Hmoo then handed Lee the burnt journal, as if he needs an answer. Lee's expression became serious.
I'm going to walk you through this. Don't be afraid, okay? When you both say ya, your aura, the trauma of your past, I see it all.
Bùi yo tia.
Yo, cú bảo tên này dòng lý chỉ trong chênh.
Ô cha, có thiết tô phong đỡ nó.
It was actually passed down from generations to generations of my family. Yo lý yo ý à không bỏ pain. One day, cú yêu cho lên tên nó chê. Chẳng để nó yêu chủ mốt tổ có Pheej Hmoo.
Lee explained more that his grandpa and Pheej Hmoo were friends in the 1900s. He found the book in Pheej Hmoo's house after a fire. Unfortunately, Pheej Hmoo didn't survive the fire and died at the age of 21. Everything in the house was burned down. But surprisingly, the book survived the fire. It was like something had protected it.
Lee, có bộ bao con này lắm từ bọn này nó luôn bề, luôn xua, theo luôn trên mùa, nhon trái học của luôn lưu sư, ở chỗ của nó chỉ cả, bù lọ chỉ cho giờ, tao ở bên hôn nó.
Cũng lòng tao mà, nếu như tụi bọn này phải chỉ cho có hình, cho Lee có tao chào cho nữa.
Suddenly, Lee's ear twitched and he smiled. Chelia slowly appeared. The moment Lee saw her, Chelia's eyes immediately turned red with tears.
Lee, cô tự phong như rong, cô chỉ sợ tia, cô ya trả tông chỉ có đuôi rong gì.
Nhớ rong anh Chelia, giờ yếu ya để tiêu lo, có nhiều chủ ba phê mong, ya chỉ khu sĩ có cho xe bây giờ. Cô tự cho chịu tôi chỉ bỏ có, để xì, thầu cô bỏ có lời.
Chelia smiled. Pimon looked between the two of them.
Nên both hello.
They both nodded.
Pimon, cũng lòng tao tia, dù chủ tao với thanh ninh cho có sẽ sai tao đây nọ, nhưng cho sẽ chỉ tao gì lời. Chỉ ưu tình cho nó vào sầu tao đây nọ, sẽ liệt tới cú yếu ba có.
A cheerful voice suddenly echoed through the house.
Cứ thế à? Nên nó cá cú đua lời lò. Ôi, thọ tư lò của yêu từ lò canh.
Everyone turned. Pingmong's spirit guide floated happily beside the altar. All three of them laughed. Pingmong finally smiled, knowing there's a whole village behind him. Three days later, Pingmong and the rest of his task force were assigned to intercept a group of drug traffickers smuggling narcotics into the US. They will be on board on a luxury cruise ship. Dressed as an ordinary passengers, the officer blended into the sea of tourists boarding the vessel. A faint crackle came through Pingmong's earpiece.
The suspect is wearing a navy flannel and pink short. He's to your right.
Pingmong casually scanned the crowd. Then he saw him. The suspect looked over his shoulder. Their eyes met instantly, and the man turned and ran. Pingmong sprinted after him.
Excuse me.
The chase wove through crowds of passengers. A warning shot echoed across the ship. Panic spread like wildfire.
Attention passengers. Please remain calm and take shelter immediately. There is an armed suspect on board.
Hundreds of terrified passengers rushed toward the nearest exit. Pingmong fought against the human tide, trying desperately to reach the suspect.
Police! Please make way!
Another wave of frightened passengers crashed into him. Someone slammed into his shoulder, then another stumbled directly into his chest. His foot slipped and his body slammed hard against the metal railing. The rail snapped and time seemed to freeze. Pingmong tried to reach for something, anything, but his fingers grasped nothing but air. His body fell backward into the dark ocean below. The ice-cold water swallowed him whole. He kicked upward, trying to reach the surface, but the weight of the ocean pulled him deeper. The sunlight above slowly faded. Then a brilliant white light consumed everything. A gentle voice answered from outside.
Mấy tu Pingmong, yo nio.
The wooden door slowly slid open. Standing there was Nkauj Nag's mother. Her eyes were swollen from endless nights of crying.
Nè, có mua hồ lửa đá chi, tôn chỉ của.
She stared at Pingmong for a long moment. Then suddenly, she fell down to her knees as tears streamed down her face.
Pingmong, ya cú yêu chỉ cho nè Lee. Vì cú cho cái xếp pay, cho cái Lee here. Thế ô cho của tụi mình thành công nang giải cú mua lời.
Nè, có hai đá chi, cú chính cái xe.
Her entire body trembled. She struggled to continue.
Khó tránh tia, cú yêu. Tụ, ô cho đá tròn chế lia.
Silence. Pingmong froze. His heartbeat echoed louder than the world around him. Everything began to crack apart like shattered glass.
No!
His scream disappeared into the ocean as streams of bubbles escaped from his mouth. Then his eyes flew open. Two pale hands wrapped tightly around his throat. His entire body stiffened. Slowly, he looked up, and floating inches away from him, long black hair drifted through the water. Nkauj Nag's red eyes stared directly into his soul. She smiled as her grip tightened around his neck. Her last words before she died echoed in Pheej Hmoo's head again and again.
Pheej Hmoo, rau no của sai có cho xia, cơ yên nhỏ yêu của tu, một ta chuột tiệt.
Kiên dòng cười chỉ nhung cho có đi, cứ lúc sẽ yên chừng hay chỉ cho có đi mau đi, cứ yêu hay có giống hoa có bơ lo chỉ cho gió. Rau đỡ có sự bơ chỉ bu có lưu leng tư có yêu hay chia kia yêu tôi chỉ thua khi có xe tôi kia cho nó yêu chỉ cho con kia nếu nào cũng muốn kiến dòng cứ chỉ nhau cho con đi cứ lúc xe yên chung khi chỉ cho con đi yêu gì cứ yêu hay có giấc mơ có bơ lo chỉ trong gió khi có xe tôi kia cho nó yêu chỉ cho con kia nếu nào cũng muốn kiến dòng cứ chỉ nhau cho con đi cứ lúc xe yên chung khi chỉ cho con đi mau đi cứ yêu hay có giấc mơ có bơ lo chỉ trong gió có yên chỉ đi sâu yên đôi cứ yêu cho có tao có mơ có yên chỉ đi ta cũng mơ đi chỉ hai sâu yên nó thôi ra kia tiếng thua có yêu cho con kia nếu nó cũng muốn kiến dòng cứ chỉ nhung cho con đi cứ lúc sẽ yên chung hay chỉ cho con đi yêu gì cứ yêu hay có giống mơ có bơ lo chỉ cho gió khi có xe tôi kia cho nó yêu chỉ cho con kia nếu nó cũng muốn kiến dòng cứ chỉ nhung cho con đi cứ lúc sẽ yên chung hay chỉ cho con đi mau đi cứ yêu hay có giống mơ có bơ lo chỉ cho gió chỉ đi sâu yên đôi cứ yêu cho có tao có